Hey guys, so talked about making a shield video for you guys on making regular shields and PD shields. So this first part is going to be discussing all the types of foam, everything that I use to make shields, and then we'll want to do a couple more parts where we actually build the shield, do the construction part of it, and then do the PD and paint and everything to finish up part of it. So first thing we're going to talk about is why we PD shields. It makes them look better. You make them look more realistic. A regular cloth cover, I mean, most of us have those on our shields. And we'll go over how to make those when we do the regular shield too. But with PD shields, you can just get a lot more creative. You can do a lot more stuff. You build everything out of foam, make it look a lot more realistic, and then you seal it with the plasti dip in order to keep the shield from coming apart, basically. It puts a rubber coating on the whole shield. As far as making your shield, remember that you can do any size, shapes, anything like that you want to. I got a couple pieces of foam and a couple extra shields down here to show. So just remember with your sizes that anything in the Darkon system, ORC system, anything over 36 inches has to have a core. It's a non-metallic rigid core, so plywood. Some people have used the plastic road signs. I think Heath used a couple plastic road signs and tried those out. You can use a barrel, plastic barrel. Things like that. It's non-metallic, rigid for your core. Anything under 36 inches doesn't require a core. Just keep in mind you start getting in the neighborhood of 34, 36 inches. They can bend if you get, shield bash, things like that. So just keep that in mind. As far as with your shield size, so I have a 24 down here. This is a 24 round. They just put duct tape on the edge. Anything I do 24 and under, I typically don't wrap them. I just put duct tape on the edge because it puts a little bit harder edge on there. But when you wrap your shields, you can wrap them in all types of different foam. Blue foam is kind of the standard go-to for wraps for me. But with plastic dip shields, you use MC foam to skin everything in order to do all your design work. So MC foam comes in all different thicknesses. You order it off the internet, and what I'll do is when I post the video, I'll post a document that has all the websites that I order different foam from and where you can get the other stuff if it's readily available at commercial places. So with MC foam, I usually use a 1/4 inch for shields, but it comes from 1/8 inch all the way up to 2 inches, so you can order whatever size you want. You can add size to your shields too. With the shield foam, the easiest piece to get is a 2 inch, 2 foot by 4 foot sheet. So you can add more size by doing more wraps of foam. So with this 24, I'm not going to wrap it. This is still a build for Trace. You can see the different sizes and shapes that we're talking about. So he wanted kind of a cool heater style. So I'm going to wrap this in a layer of blue foam to go around it in order to make it a little bit bigger, and it makes the edge a little bit tougher. You can see I already cut the punch hole for this shield. So that's just showing off the different shapes and sizes. As far as your foams go, first thing I want to talk about is your shield foam. So I use 2.2 pound polyethylene plank foam. So this is what it looks like before you cut it into a circle or whatever shape you want. It's just a big plank. These come in 2 foot by 4 foot. This is roughly 2 foot wide. This is 23 by about 26. So we're going to turn this into a 24 round. They come in both layered and solid plank. I prefer to use solid plank. It gives it more stability. Blue foam, we all know what blue foam is. We've all used it before, I hope. MC foam is what we use to do the skin on the PD shields. I also use this for swords, things like that. Pretty much everything nowadays is built out of MC foam, whether it be 2 pound or 4 pound. For shields, you want to order 2 pound MC foam. You don't want to order 4 pound for shields for the outside layer. You can also use craft foam to do some smaller, skinnier details. You can see this is pretty thin stuff. These come in packs. You can get these at like Michael's and stuff. Stores like that, Walmart. They also make it in up to thicker size. I think it goes up to like 6 millimeter or something like that. And then Eva foam. These are floor mats. I get mine from Lowe's. These are 1/2 inch floor mats, and they also make 3/4 inch floor mats. These are a lot thicker. I generally get these from Dick's Sporting Goods. So those are different types of foam you can use. I prefer to use the plank foam for shields just because I feel like it holds up better. So you can kind of use whatever. Generally speaking, if you're going to use the Eva foam, they have this finished side on them that you're supposed to walk on because you put these down. These are exercise floor mats. You want to sand that down if you're going to glue multiple layers of this together. Now what you can do to build a shield is you can take multiple layers of this. This is 3 different pieces at a 1/2 inch thick, and you can see that it makes a 1.5 inch. So you can do 4 or 5 layers of this. You can do 3 layers of these. That would give you 2 1/4, which is roughly the same size as this. It's 3/4, so times 3 is 2 1/4. So you can do 3 layers of that. You can do 2 layers of that, and then a layer of this. You can do 2 layers, make it 1.5 inch, and then skin it with your skin foam, things like that. So you can build shields all kinds of different ways. You can build them out of just blue foam. 5 layers of blue foam is kind of the old standard. We used to have 3 on the front, 1 on the back, plus 1/2 inch plywood. So replace the plywood with blue foam, then give you a 5-layer shield. You can build them out of blue foam. They're going to be a little taco-y, but you can build them out of blue foam. It's not against the rules. They just might fall apart faster. That's pretty much everything I had to cover, like on the foams and the shields and everything like that. So next we'll jump into how you cut your circle or make your shield shape or whatever. So with Treyas's shield, again, I'll show this one off just because it's kind of a cool shape. You can see there's a lot of lines on this side. You can see that I messed up my circle because sometimes everybody messes up, and I do it a lot. But you can see there's a lot of lines on here where we took a bunch of pictures, and I sent in pictures over and over, and we kind of discussed how we wanted to change the shape little by little to get it pretty much where he wanted. So I'll probably make this the front and put my stuff on there and then cover it, and you won't see any of the lines on the back, just so it looks a little bit prettier. So for cutting your circle, I recommend getting a compass. So this is a big compass that I got at Lowe's. It's this part and this part, and then it had a smaller rod in it. The rod was maybe about a foot long or so. This is a piece of just 1/2 inch fiberglass. It just so happened to fit, so I was able to make it longer so I can get big circles out of it. But I do recommend getting a big compass. So I already did a couple marks on here to make sure this shield was big enough. So you can see this one little dot right here is my center mark, and then this is to make sure that I can fit 23 inches on here. So what I'm doing is I'm making a 24-inch punch for Eunice for her maids for her classic dip shield. So in order to be under 24, you have to remember that when you put a wrap on it, you have to compensate for the size of the wrap. So if you're doing blue foam as a 1/2 inch, so if you want a 24, you would want to go 23. Blue foam is just shy of the 1/2 inch, so if you're making a 24-inch shield, you can go 23 and then wrap it 1 layer of blue, and it'll give you just shy of 24. With your cover, makes it pretty much exactly 24. For plastic dip shields, remember that I said I use 1/4 inch foam. So if I want to use the 1/4 inch foam, I want to add that to both sides. That's when I add a 1/2 inch. I don't want to push the limits on it. I also don't know what kind of design she wants to do on the edges. If she wants to put to make it look like it has a metal rim or anything like that, so I may add more foam. So I want to compensate for that, make this 23, and then when I wrap it in a 1/2 inch of foam, it'll give me 23.5, and I got some playroom. So you want to take a straight edge. This used to be a 3-foot ruler, but it broke, so now it's not. And then I do have a big 4-foot ruler that I use for a lot of stuff. So you can set your size. So this one's already been preset. So whatever size you want to do, just remember that with the circle, if you're doing it from the center, you want your radius, not your diameter. So if it's 23, you want to take half of that for your radius. So since I already have my center mark, I'm going to go ahead and just draw me a circle on here. So you can see that this gives you a nice, pretty clean circle. And then with mine, I do so many shields that a lot of my stuff has been shortcutted. So you can see that I have marks on here. This is for me to set the guide for the compass, and then that tells me exactly how big to make the hole for the center of the shield for the punch handle. So a lot of you guys have seen my punch shields, and they just have the hole in the center. So you just draw a second circle and make a hole in the center. I use a bread knife for most of my stuff to cut out. If I'm doing smaller cuts, I'm just cutting pieces of foam. I use a big bread knife. I've been using this for about 5 years. I really recommend getting one. They're a few bucks, but they work. So I'm going to cut the punch hole out first. Just hang it through there. Doesn't have to be super perfect. It has to be in there. I'm going to try to keep it as vertical as you can. That way you don't end up with a angled punch hole, unless you want to do an angled punch hole. That is preference to some people. I prefer to do mine square. Once you cut your circle out, kind of punch it out, and then you get a circle in the middle of the shield. Throw this away. Next I'm going to cut the circle out of the shield. So you can see I went ahead and moved the camera for you guys so you can watch time lapse real fast. I'm not going to talk to you while I'm running the bandsaw. They're kind of loud. I don't know if you guys have ever used a bandsaw. Be careful. They are extremely dangerous. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember when I cut my hand a few years ago. So just be careful running the bandsaw. Alright guys, so just did a quick circle, cut this out. Remember what I just told you a little while ago that I forget things a lot? So what I didn't do is I didn't put any lines on here to determine where the handle was going to go. So usually you would have, your X drawn in the center, but I just had a dot. Your X drawn in the center line. And then for a punch handle, you would want to have marks on both sides of that at a 1/2 inch. I use 3/4 PVC, so we'll talk about handles for a second. I typically use 3/4 PVC. When you do PVC, the inside diameter is what they talk about, so when they say 3/4. So PVC 3/4 is roughly 1 inch outside diameter. You can also use 1/2 inch PVC, which is 3/4. So 1/2 inch PVC would be cool because with the 3/4 EVO foam, it's the same size. So what you could do if you built a shield out of this is you could do 2 layers of this first, 1, 2, and then you could take your next layer and cut it in half, and then you could set this like this and glue it in there on both sides, so it'd be here, and then you would have 2 sides of it for your 3rd layer, and then your handle would be done. Instead of having to router a handle, grip, and do all that we do. So when you do your handle, you're going to router it. And we'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to leave it short. So you can see on Trey's shield, I have my my slot that I was talking about drawn out, and you can see where it's going to end. So where the 2 lines are. So I'm going to router these holes for the handles, and then I'm going to cut a piece of PVC however long that needs to go. So then I would land in here. Just take a quick thumb measurement, cut it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure you don't leave too big of a gap. With that, once you get your PVC cut, I like to cover mine in athletic tape. This comes in just about every color you can think of. Most of them you have to order off of Amazon, which I don't know if is a good idea right now. But black, white, blue, purple, I think you can get those 4 colors at Walmart generally. I'm sure if you go to the athletic stores, maybe Dick's, some of the other ones I never really looked for. I think it's kind of expensive there. This is usually $3 to $4 a roll. But you would cover both ends of your handle, and then I wrap the entire thing, and then we'll glue it in there, which we'll go over that with the next video. Once you have your handle, what I like to do on shields that are not going to be plastic dipped is I like to cover the handle. A lot of you guys have seen the shields. They have these pieces on the back. So basically, they're just going to go like this, and they're going to cover the handle. I just use the 1/2 inch floor mats from Lowe's for this. So they just get glued down to cover over the handle. That's just for a little bit of safety. Generally, once we use the Gorilla Glue, it has like kind of a harder edge. So sometimes there's like some sharper points on the shields. And to keep your thumb from hitting straight PVC, I'll just put these to cover it. And then on the front, I just get a big circle. This is 9.5 inches. I've got a lot of templates. You can see a bunch of templates hanging on the wall for stuff. So this is a 9.5 inch circle. You can use this to do the same thing. 9.5, 10 inches, whatever you need to cover. And then this just goes over it. When we go to glue this down, what I'll do is I'll stick it on here. I'll center it up, draw a line, make sure that it's centered. Draw a line on this side. That way I know where to glue it exactly. So this is your punch hole cover. So that's just for regular shields. So we talked about wrapping the shield earlier, whether or not you want to wrap it, yes or no. I prefer to wrap shields if they're over 24. 24 seem like they take a little bit less damage. They're usually used by either thieves, assassins, or people who fight pole arms. So you're generally farther away from combat. The shield doesn't take as much damage over the years. Anything, when you start getting in the neighborhood of 26, 28, 30, and bigger, the shields are more in combat. They're more in heavy combat up front, it seems. So they generally, I'll wrap them in a layer of blue just to add a little bit of extra protection on the edges. Is really the only reason I do it. All other shields, I still wrap them in a layer of duct tape just to give them some kind of closure. It is open on the edges. The bubbles are open, so water can get inside them. So it does give it a little bit of closure. That's pretty much everything for this part. I'm gonna get some stuff together and I'll start making the second part. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It's kind of cold today, so I can't really do too much gluing. So thanks, guys.